Hola, greetings. I'm Emmanuel, and I'm happy to bring you a reading from a book that I think has some really beautiful words called Emmanuel's Book, A Manual for Living Comfortably in the Cosmos. This is a gift from a friend of mine. It's compiled by Pat Rodcast and Judith Stanton, and the introduction is by Ram Dass. This is the first chapter on an overview of the human adventure. It is within your humanity that you will learn to recognize your divinity. The spiritual and the human have to walk hand in hand. Otherwise, the spiritual has no foundation on which to take hold. We are all one. Ours is one reality, one energy, one perception. The mind cannot grasp this fact or accept it without battle, but the heart is yearning to know it. Is this not life's purpose? To know that you belong, that you are safe and eternal, to know that in your spirit reality you are already one with Source, God. There is nothing in the human experience that does not exist in spirit. This is why the human condition is a blessed one. It is a mirror, a faithful replica of the Spirit's situation. There is divinity in all things, and in order to find that divinity, one must work with the material at hand. To disregard the clay is to question the divine energy that formed it. Blessings.
Hello, I'm Reverend Aileen, and I'm going to open our devotional service centering time. So I'm going to invite the bell. Maybe closing your eyes wherever you are. And just begin to notice your breath. Just breathing in and out. With each inhale breath, you're inviting relaxation and ease into your body. And then with each exhale breath, just sending this energy all the way down the spine, through your feet, into the earth below you. One more time as you fill up. Exhale, letting go. So maybe moving into your heart space, if you like to pray. Maybe just spending a few moments here, creating an intention for your day today. And then opening your heart to receive this Celtic blessing for your day. I arise today through the strength of heaven, light of sun, the radiance of the moon, splendor of stars, speed of lightning, swiftness of wind, depths of the sea, stability of the earth, and firmness of rock. I arise today. So take another moment now as you begin to lengthen your inhale breath here. Aligning and connecting with the God of your understanding. Would you slowly bring your awareness back to your body, back to this moment? As you now begin to slowly open up your mind, your heart to receive Reverend John's message today. And so it is.
Good morning, family. Welcome to our Sunday morning time together. It's devotion time. It's connection time. We just welcome you here. So glad that you have chosen to be in this space this morning. I want to say thank you to everyone who contributes to our Sunday services. Reverend Aileen is involved. Reverend Carolyn is involved. Carrie is sometimes a singer on our sessions. Jesse Powers. We have Barb Destiny, who works with us and brings us meditations and readings, and everybody else who contributes. I want to say thank you to each one who does that. Ryan Oyer, who is our friend from Chattanooga, shared music with us last week. Just thank you to everybody who contributes. We are in our series, and this is part 2 of that series, Living in Frequency. And as I mentioned to you, I think last week, and it was mentioned also by Danny Gerard, I know on our One Love session that Danny was giving us a forecast for the month, and she told us there was going to be some ups and downs, some push and pull, some emotional season, or emotional time going all the way up till the 10th. Well, that's what today is. And so some of you may feel the intensity of that. I certainly have a sensitivity to it. I am an empath, and so as a result of being an empath, sometimes I feel some things very, very deeply. My son, Rhett, he's my youngest, is actually a lot like me in that regard, and that he feels emotions very deeply. And so sometimes he and I both feel those emotions. And if you felt some emotion and some commotion this week, give yourself a break. I've been endeavoring to do the same for me. Poor Carrie has had to deal with me, and bless her heart. That's why I think she's gotten really a crash course in being Reverend Carrie by just living with me. But I want to welcome you into today's session, because we're living in frequency, and we're talking about the energetics of awakening. We have been discussing and celebrating awakening for many years now. I was talking all the way back in 2016 and 2017 about the shift. And the shift really started hitting the fan in 17, 18, 19. Certainly we went through the pandemic in 2020. And now here we are in 2025. In some ways, shift is still happening. We're seeing transition, but we're also seeing transformation. And the things that you're seeing on the news that are disturbing, sometimes disturbance is good. Did you know right before farmers and gardeners plant seeds into the ground, they disturb the soil first? There's a disturbance that makes room for the seed to be planted. Even when the seed is in the ground, there's the disturbance of the seed dying in order to multiply. It's interesting how metamorphosis and transformation from the outside looking in and from the experience that we have can be so painful. I think this is why one of the reasons there's a lot of teaching about suffering in Buddhism, because even Siddhartha said that life is suffering, which sounded very, and still sounds like sort of very nihilist, very negative. Certainly we wouldn't want to say that that's positive, but there's something about transformation that brings about transcendence. And there is a little bit of a suffering, some discomfort. I kind of got talked into Friday going back to the gym with Carrie. And boy, do I feel it today. Just telling you, because I had been out of the gym for several months. And I am feeling it because as soon as you start to exercise the muscles, this is metaphysically, metaphorically, and physically, when you start to exercise something that has not been exercised in a while, you're going to feel it, a little bit of soreness. But the soreness is actually something that we can celebrate. And we can say, really almost give it a thank you. Thank you, that means something is changing and shifting in me. Last week, though, we talked about love, and we dove into it. We basically said love is not necessarily what we would call friendly or nice even. I don't think love lands in the category of nice. I think nice often is fake. Kind is where we get the root word is kin, kind, kindred. Kindness, I believe, is a part of love. But love doesn't just hug you. Love doesn't just hold you close. Love dismantles all of the false identities because it exposes, it's the exposure, it's the gate, it's the opening into the higher realms of enlightenment. And if we're on the spiral, and I mentioned to you, it's not about higher levels as if some people are lower than others, but it is a spiral because life is not linear. It's really not. It seems like linear because the way we measure it through calendars and with years and months and days and how we number it all and we quantify it and we measure it out, we think that it's linear. But life is really, Alan Watts used to say it this way when he would do his lectures. He would say, if you can see anything that's solid, that looks solid, is actually not solid. It's fast movement, and it's so fast that it appears in our human world to be solid. He said, if you could look at the table that is standing here in front of me that my papers are on, and you could see it with the right seeing device, you would see that this table is even going, and he would do that. He would make that irritating noise. He would say, because it is also movement, and it's also temporary. But love is our gateway. We said that love is even the gateway drug, if you will, into higher realms of consciousness. The next level on the Dawkins scale is joy. And so today I want us to look at the energetics of joy, look at the frequency of joy, and maybe what it can really mean. I like to say that today is a message about learning how to live in the lightness of being. Now, let me break that down. Two things that automatically come to me when I say lightness. First, for me, as somebody who used to go to the gym a lot, and apparently I'm starting back, there are weights that are heavier than others. Many of us carry around the weight of competition and comparison. And so you could say that joy is lightening the load for you. This last week, I didn't work out with the same level of weight that I used to because, well, I'm not at that level right now. And I don't know that I will be, but there's something about lightening your load. So joy is lightness in that way. Joy is also luminosity. It illumines. It brings a lightness and a sense of happiness and a sense of almost a peaceful happiness into our life. Now, there's a scripture that I would go to automatically because as a minister for 31 years, an avid studier of the scriptures, even to the degree that I didn't just read it, I studied it. Actually studied it in seminary, studied it in systematic theological classes, studied it in breaking it down, understanding the language. So I automatically go to scripture because I'm very familiar with it. But there was a prophet in the Old Testament of the Christian Bible and in the Jewish Bible, one of the Jewish prophets, whose name was Nehemiah. We used to call him Nehemiah. Nehemiah 8 and verse 10 says, and this will be very familiar to anybody who's raised in church, the joy of the Lord is my strength. Now, I've said to you before that Lord, the word Lord is Elizabethine English, and it could be translated universal law. So let's read it that way. The joy of universal law is my strength. Now, as I'm reading that, quoting that to you, think in terms of lightness of being. The lightness of being is my strength. Now, the closest translation in English from the Hebrew that we can get is this: for the joy of Yahweh is your stronghold. Now, that's a little different. Stronghold is more of a military terminology. But it's again trying to attach English to the Hebrew. The joy of Yahweh, God, ultimate source. That's my strength. That's my stronghold. Now the John Henry Scott translation from Hebrew is this: the joy of the eternal presence is my inner sanctuary. It anchors me, uplifts me, and makes me unshakable. Now, if Carrie were on here right now, she would say, yes, of course, that's his translation because there's extra words to it because he takes a long time to tell a story. But the scripture here actually says the joy, from my translation, the joy of the eternal presence is my inner sanctuary. It anchors me, it uplifts me, and it makes me unshakable. So I'm going to ask you to consider an affirmation, typing it in the comments here. The joy of the infinite flows through me now. And in that flow, I find my unshakable strength. Type that into the comments. Say it aloud, if you will. The joy of the infinite flows through me now. And in that flow, I find unshakable strength. You see, my strength and your strength doesn't come from effort. It arises from the joy of being in harmony with the infinite. It arises. There's no effort to it. I don't have to work for it. It rises up when I'm in harmony with the infinite. When I'm in tune with the source, joy is the current, and the strength that comes from it is the result of alignment with that current. So my strength doesn't come from me trying harder. It arises from the joy of being in harmony with the source, with the infinite. And when I'm tuned into that source, joy is the current and strength is the result. So I want to start off by saying that joy is not emotional hype. Joy is not dependent on conditions and circumstances. Happiness might be, but joy is not. Joy is the natural, please hear this, joy, I know this is a little poetic. I've been doing a lot of poetry and songwriting and things lately, but this is the way I felt this in my soul earlier this week as I wrote it. Joy is the natural fragrance of a soul aligned with the truth. Joy is the natural fragrance of a soul aligned with the truth. Just like a rose has a fragrance, and it reaches that fragrant stage by remaining aligned to the stem it's growing on, the same is true when you're aligned with the truth of the divine. Joy is the natural fragrance. The rose doesn't have to try to be fragrant. It just, as it unfolds in its natural state, the fragrance is automatic. On Dr. Hawkins' scale of consciousness, he said that joy calibrates at 540. It's just above love. It is expansive. It's luminous. He spoke of it as being spontaneous. But unlike pleasure or happiness, joy doesn't depend on something good happening. Joy is the happening. Joy arises not from gain, but from surrender. In other words, joy doesn't need stimulus from the external. Joy is the happening itself. Happiness, the reason happiness is spelled the way it is and said the way it is because it's dependent on what's happening. Come on, I just said a mouthful there for somebody. The reason that happiness is attached to happenings is because that's the direct association. Joy is something much deeper than that. Number one, joy is a state, not a stimulus. Most of us have been trained in this life to chase pleasure. But I got to tell you something. I found out at 47 years, almost 48, don't tell anybody. Most of us have been trained to chase pleasure, but I found out, somebody at my age, that pleasure is fleeting. It's here, gone in a second. Your feelings shift with the phone call, with the text. You can be as happy as you can be or as angry as you can be. I asked myself just the other day, I was upset about something. And I was sitting and thinking about the irritability. I was like, why am I so irritable? What's the deal with that? Why am I so irritable? And I was sitting with it for a moment, and this voice in my head said, if somebody called you right now and said, hey, I have $1 million gift for your ministry. Will you meet me in the next 15 minutes because I want to give it to you? Would you still be irritable? And the answer in my head was hell no, or heaven yes. I would not be irritable. I would be elated, and I would go and meet them. And so the voice said, then why is it any different for you to willfully and intentionally change your mood right now? Now, we don't always find it that easy to do so, but what if we stop being dependent on pleasure in order for us to reach this level of contentment in our life? Joy is not in things, it is in us, said Richard Wagner. Type that into the comments. Joy is not in things, joy is in me. I don't need something else from the outside to be joyful. I can just take a moment and breathe in and recognize that I am joy, and that joy is a frequency. It's a state, not a stimulus. David Steindale Rast said, happiness depends on conditions, but joy does not. So it's easy to say love is unconditional, but so is joy. And isn't that interesting? Because when we get into peace, we're going to talk about the same thing. That also peace cannot be one of those things that is conditional. It is unconditional. Joy is not the response to getting what we want. It's the evidence that what we've stopped needing, when we've stopped needing anything, we feel whole. Joy is not the response to getting what we want. It's the evidence that we've stopped needing anything to feel whole, to feel complete. Number 2, joy comes from surrender, not control. A lot of us think if we could control the outcome, we could be more joyous. But joy is what happens. Marianne Williamson said this. Joy is what happens to us when we allow ourselves to recognize how good things already really are. That's such wisdom in that. Let that sit with you a moment. Marianne Williamson said, joy is what happens to us when we allow ourselves to recognize how good things already really are. Joy flows in the absence of resistance. What you resist will ultimately persist. Your resistance will give it energy. But joy flows in that absence of resistance. It isn't forced. It isn't manufactured. It isn't something that we come up with because of the circumstances outside of us. It rises when we stop trying to grip life with both hands and let ourselves float in the river of what is. Rumi said, when you do things from your soul, you feel a river moving in you. That's joy. When you do things from your soul, you feel a river moving in you. That's joy. Number 3, joy is the language of the soul. Love is the field. Joy is its song. And we talked about love last week. Love is the field. Joy is the song. Joy is the automatic celebrating song of that experience of love. When you're aligned with Source, joy begins to leak out of you. It can't help it. It leaks out in laughter. It leaks out in curiosity. It leaks out in sacred stillness. It even comes from you as compassion without agenda. Just compassion for compassion's sake. I used to say this on the regular. Instead of us being good for God's sake, or because we're afraid God will get us, what if we were just good for goodness sake? So what if we just experienced joy and compassion without an agenda? In other words, joy that don't make no sense. So that when people will say, why are you so joyful? You really can just say, I don't have to explain it. Like for no reason. I'm joyed just because. I am joyful just because. This is why children often are vibrant with joy. They haven't learned the performance of being spiritual. They're just being. Yeah. Oh, listen, whether it's spirituality or it's religion, both have their stiffness and their seriousness to them. Look at children. This is why Jesus, the Master, said, come to me. And he wasn't talking about Jesus, the person. He was saying, come to me. In other words, come to your true self like a child. He was saying the only way, and he actually said this, the only way into the kingdom of God is to come like a child does, because children are vibrant with joy because they have not learned the performance of being religious or being spiritual. Pierre Teilhard de Chardin said, joy is the ineffable or infallible sign of the presence of God. Joy is the infallible sign of the presence of God. Number 4, joy is the frequency of liberation. When we no longer carry shame about our light, when we stop shrinking so that we can fit in, when we stop apologizing for our fullness and our divine self, joy starts to emerge, just like breathing out and breathing in. When we stop carrying shame about our light, somebody's watching today that you were told most of your life that you just needed to chill out. You needed to dial it back just a little bit. Don't be so lit up Why are you so joyful? Why do you laugh all the time? What's wrong with you? Why are you so positive? And so you decided to dim your light because other people were afraid of how your light was shining due to the fact they weren't willing to shine their own light. Some of us, we were shrinking because we were afraid of taking up the space that belongs to us. I was telling a coaching client just recently, you need to, for the first time in your life, realize you are valuable and worthy, and you are worth the space you take up. Stop shrinking to make somebody else feel better about themselves. Joy is a frequency of liberation. Joy will liberate you from the shame. It will liberate you from the shrinking and trying to fit in because you'll know you belong. And it will liberate you for apologizing for your fullness and the beauty of who you are, because joy emerges like a liberated breath. Alan Watts said this, and all of y'all know that I love Alan Watts. He was probably one of the most rascally guru types of the 40s, 50s, 60s. And it's so interesting because he had such a grasp, and that's not a good word to use, but he had such a grasp on spiritual principle and liberation principle. And yet, to the day he died, he was a chain-smoking, womanizing alcoholic. But he just had such a grasp. And he was a rascal. He was so comedic. He was always poking at the bear called religion. I've told you this before, I think, that Ram Dass tells this story. He says, so Alan Watts and I were in a monastery getting drunk. Sounds like the start to a joke, and it kind of really is. But he said, Alan Watts and I were in a monastery getting drunk. And he said, Alan looked at me and said, Ram, you know what your problem is? And Ram said, oh yeah, what's that? And he said, you're too attached to attachment. That's the kind of stuff that Alan would say. He'd drop a drop of wisdom like that and be half drunk and still do it. He said this, if you're not having fun on your spiritual path, you're probably not on your spiritual path. That's a little bit of a paraphrase, but it's pretty accurate. If you're not having fun on your spiritual path, you're probably not on a spiritual path. I believe spirituality, true spirituality, liberates us. Religion puts you in chains. Spirit looses you from the chains. It invites you out of the incarceration of consternation in your constant and consistent conceptual self. The one who is always trying to make sure that you fit in and do all the right stuff, say the right things, pray the right prayers, go to the right place. This joy invites us into the craziness of the beauty of all that's possible. And this is an invitation into a frequency of joy. As you begin to understand that, number one, joy is a state, not a stimulus. Number two, joy comes from surrender, not from control. Number three, joy is the language of the soul. And number four, and probably my favorite, joy is the frequency of liberation. It's inviting you into beautiful freedom. I'm going to invite you to take a moment wherever you are right now. And if you're on a treadmill or something, probably not a good idea to do this particular exercise. But those of you who are in your homes, and you're in a stationary place, I'm going to ask you to go through a couple of steps of what I would call an embodiment practice called joy activation. And step one is this. I'm going to invite everyone to literally shake out your arms, your shoulders, your face, your hips. Yeah, your hips. If you need to get up and swivel around a little bit, if you've most recently had a hip replacement, maybe you don't want to do this part, but just shake your arms and your shoulders and your face even. Shake it off. I can hear Taylor Swift singing it now. Loosen the shell just a little bit. Let the body laugh by shaking it off. Joy needs space to move. So get into that move. And then I'm going to invite you for just a moment, after you've shaken a little bit, into what I would call a smile meditation. And we won't go here for long, but I want to go for just a few minutes. I'm going to invite you to maybe sit back down from the shaking, allow your body to settle. You've shook it loose. And I'm going to invite you to maybe gently close your eyes wherever you are. and invite a soft inner smile. Not performance, and not a performative smile, but energetic. Imagine, if you will, that your heart is smiling. Let it radiate outward through your body. Smile not because everything is perfect, but because joy just, it doesn't need a reason. And even as you hear the noises around you and you hear what is occurring around you, allow yourself to smile at that too. Whatever's happening, a truck driving by your house, a dog barking, something occurring. Allow yourself to smile at that. You don't need the quiet in this moment, not necessarily. Just allow the smile. Because joy doesn't need a reason. And step 3, I'm going to ask you to consider whispering through a smile these affirmations. And they go like this: I am allowed to enjoy my life. I am allowed to enjoy my life. I radiate joy because I remember who I am. I radiate joy because I remember who I am. I don't wait for joy. I am joy. I don't wait for joy. I am joy. And number 4, I invite you to make one spontaneous movement or gesture of joy. No explanation, just expression. This is the frequency of freedom, and it's already yours. So just one gesture right now of joy. I'm just allowing joy now to flow from me. I realize in this moment that joy is not in things, it is in me. I realize in this moment that I don't have to have pleasure to experience joy. Joy is abiding within me. It's a frequency. Love is the field. Joy is its song. I like to think that joy is God's way of photobombing your seriousness. As Alan Watts used to say also, I think the reason that we have such crappy lives at times is because we take seriously what God intended to be funny. But right now, there's an inner resilience that turns the I have to into I get to. And that is joy. I am joy. I choose joy. Joy is my rebellion, my alignment, and my natural state. Today, I live joyfully unshakable. So friends, look back up at me. Joy isn't cute. It's courage. Stop chasing joy and know that you are joy. Simply become it. And maybe consider repeating this after me. I am joy. I choose joy. Joy is my rebellion, my alignment, and my natural state of being. Today, I live joyfully unshakable. And so it is. And so it is. I want to say thank you for being here today. Thank you for choosing this space. You could have been anywhere else. And I hope that you're experiencing a rise in your frequency, in the vibrational frequency of your life. As I mentioned last week, that these are the things I believe that start to make our awakening practical. Because if you wake up, if you have an awakening, but you're not able to walk it out and embody it, then it really is just an experience that didn't change anything. This is, I believe, one of the ways that we walk it out, by recognizing that love has brought me through the door. Joy has me singing a song. And now I'm going to move into peace. And when I combine all three of those, I'm going to be practicing the life of an enlightened being. That is you. You're already that. The practice is what is going to make your body aware of it. And so we invite you to continue that practice. Okay, my friends, thank you for being here today. I'm going to get up out of here. I've gone a little extra long, so I'm going to let you go now. But please hang around to see the ways to give. Ask you to continue to be a sustaining partner for this ministry. Yes, I know that you're watching online, but that is connection too. And if this is feeding your soul, consider making that exchange today. Consider activating the law of circulation by giving. And the ways to give will be on the screen as we start to leave out from here. Let's get ready for Spirit Expressing. It is in full swing. We have the facilitators in place. Thank you, Carrie, for spearheading that, Reverend Carrie. We have the facilitators in place, and we're going to get ready to start signing participants up soon so that you can decide what class you would like to attend. I say class, it's really more of it's a book group. It's a discussion group, and the facilitators are really just there to kind of get the discussion started. And that sign up is going to be happening over the next couple of weeks. So be listening out. If you have not signed up for the text alerts or for the newsletter, please consider sending your information to Carrie@firstunity.org or Angie@firstunity.org, either one of them, and let them know that you want to be signed up to the text alerts or to get the newsletter and our weekly connection, okay? So that's Carrie, Kerri, @firstunity.org, or Angie, ANGIE, @firstunity.org. Let them know that you would like to be signed up. We have just a lot of wonderful things happening, so continue to stay connected with us. The best way to know what's happening, though, again, is to send your information to us so we can communicate with you. Also, stay connected to our Facebook page and to our YouTube channel. We make announcements through all of those platforms, okay? If you have not liked my TikTok, my Instagram, my Facebook, my personal YouTube channel, what you waiting for? Go check it out. Like it. Click that bell, especially on YouTube. You'll get an alert every time we do a walk and talk or we do some kind of a reel. I'm doing a lot of shorts these days, not shorts that you go swimming in. I'm doing a lot of short reels, videos these days, just a little extra little wisdom and knowledge, some inspiration, some goofiness as you go throughout your week. It's a great way to support your own immune system. I believe that, your own spiritual immunity. It gives you the ability to be impervious to all of the attacks that are happening in the world. And when I say that, I'm talking about the world right now is trying to beat down on us emotionally. If what's happening in the world can keep you in fight, flight, or freeze, it keeps you out of your creativity. Don't let that happen. You can inoculate yourself from that by getting a daily dose of something that is building up your spirit. Now, you don't have to do that through me. You can do it through your own meditation. I'm just saying, the videos that we're putting out there are one of the offerings that's available. So if you haven't hooked up to it, consider doing that. Okay, I think I've given all the announcements that need to be given for today. The ways to give are coming up next. I love you very much. Now go and make it a great week just because you can. Peace.
Hey family, thank you for joining us today for our telecast. And thank you for being a sustaining partner with First Unity Spiritual Campus. The number one way to give is to text to give, 833-691-6105. And you can text the word give. Number two, the First Unity app, and then tap that yellow heart. And number 3, go to firstunity.org/give. And this also gives you the option to have a subscription giving, which is automatic each month. That means you can budget it into your monthly budget and not even have to think about it. It comes out automatically. The fourth way to give is to mail to P.O. Box 13293, St. Petersburg, Florida, 33733. The number 5 way to give is through Cash App. That's right, through Cash App, $First Unity, SC. $First Unity, SC. Also, you can use the QR code that is on the screen right now. You can scan that code and be taken to our safe and secure website for your giving. Once again, allow me to say thank you so much for being a sustaining partner with this ministry of love. Have a wonderful day. Now there is peace on earth, and it has begun with me. Now there is peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Now there is peace on earth. Yes, this is the moment now. With every step I take, yes, this is my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Now there is peace on earth, and it has begun with me. And our prayer of protection together, the light of God surrounds us. I am the light. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love. The power of God protects us. I am the power. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. I love you, family. Make it a great Sunday.